enjoy the silence.
Flag on the play if you're not subscribed to Von Allen Sports. But once you are, we'll make it up to your team in the fourth quarter. You're watching Von Allen Sports, real and honest NFL analysis. Subscribe now and join the empire. Von Allen Sports, let's go.
If you're not watching Von Allen Sports, fuck you.
Von Allen Sports. Von Allen Sports.
I rush for you.
Von Allen Sports on Patreon. Fuck you. I'm joining.
Von Allen Sports.
Von Allen. Von Allen. You guys didn't know that I did all that with my mouth, right? I was like, yeah, well, that's how I do. All right. What is up, guys? So, since there's only a few contestants left in the tournament so far, I'm just going to do it early. Now, we're just going to do it right up the bat, because that means the majority of the viewers are not here for the tournament. So, we'll just get out of the way because it seems to take a while for people to kind of show up after they get the notification, because then you got to, oh, Aaron's live now. Okay, and then you've got to click, and then you've got to go and figure out, like, am I going to watch on my phone? Am I going to turn on my computer? Am I going to go to the bathroom so I can be in private? Well, no. I meant garage. Okay. So anyway, so that's what we're going to do. Real quick, so give me just a second and I'll move everything over. Let me see here. So no, it's not the final yet. It's I would say, think of it in NFL terms, it's the wild card round. There's just not that many left though. So it's like, it'll go fast. It's much easier to get done. That doesn't make sense. The view number count is wrong. I mean, obviously, so. Maybe it takes a second for it to register. This has been happening lately. What's the view count say to you guys on your screen? Because I'm looking at the view count through my software, and I just don't know if my software is updating it correctly or if there's a problem there. So, okay, thank you, Amelia. Go. Are you jumping or not? Okay. So yeah, okay, so see, that's weird. That doesn't make sense. There's more than 6 people talking. I mean, yeah. That is weird. Okay, then maybe I should wait like a minute or, a few minutes just in case. Let's see. Is everyone who's playing tonight? I think everyone's here that's playing tonight. Let me see. Okay, I know that Chavez, let's see. I know that Chavez is here and Luke is here. Okay, right? I thought I saw Luke there. Luke. No, Luke's not here. Okay, well, Chavez picks first anyway, so I'm going to give you your stat there, Luke, real quick. Three turnovers. Okay, John. So John, you and Luke's number is turnovers. I'm assuming Luke's going to be here. So I'll come back to this, John. Just be thinking about the quarterback you want. No turnovers. And just for the record, because now I have to say it, thanks to Elf of Courage, yeah. No, you have to pick a guy who's starting. You have to pick a guy who actually has a risk of having a turnover. Okay, so, and remember, it is fumbles, but only fumbles that go to the other team. A fumble recovery for your own team does not count. So it does not count against you. And while I'm doing that, let me move this over. So, okay. Okay. So that's John. Oh, John's already picked. Okay, that's fast. Okay. I like it. Jared Goff. Respect. Okay. And Luke, I don't know if you're out there, but you're on deck. Okay, the next matchup is Blind Assassin versus James Grant. I don't normally see James in the chat. He normally is in the Legion chat, but I'm going to go ahead and give the stat anyway because Blind Assassin's here and he picks first. So 1, you are touchdowns. So Blind Assassin and James Grant, your stat is 1. So be thinking about touchdowns. Just to give you a quick reverse from back. So John Thomas Chavez, made it to week 10 because he defeated Elf of Courage. Luke made it because he defeated James Johnson. Blind Assassin made it because he defeated Elf of Courage. Blind Assassin had Lamar Jackson and Elf of Courage had Tua. I wouldn't have recommended, picking a player that's playing outside the United States. Like I always say, never bet on teams because what you're expecting is never what you're, if you're basing it off of historically, like the last few weeks and the teams and how they're playing, and you're expecting a certain number, obviously, because that's why you picked them. When teams play out of town, things are just not quite right. So, I just don't want you guys losing money on that. If you're betting on games, stay away from those international games and stay away from Thursday night games too. Trust me. Okay. James Grant made it this far with Mahomes by beating Jalen, who also picked Tua. But you got Mahomes versus Tua, so somebody had to win, right? Okay. Elf of Courage. And this next one. So Elf of Courage, you're going against Bitcoin Motorist. I'm going to give you your stat right now. It is 1 touchdowns. So Alpha Courage and Bitcoin Motors, be thinking about who you would like. And Alpha Courage got here by defeating Ryan Dyer, who thought it was a good idea to pick a Jets quarterback. Ryan, I'm going to shame you. I'm going to publicly flog you. Figuratively, obviously. Yeah, I think I might go to jail if I did it literally. Yeah, okay. And then Alpha Courage, he had picked Justin Herbert, who had no turnovers. Well, he didn't pick it. It was a default. That's from Alpha Courage's little sneaky tactic where he tried to hack the system. And Bitcoin Motors got here by defeating the Gourd King, who had Mahomes. And that was completions. Burrow threw a lot. He had 31 completions. And I'll come back to y'all's picks real quick. And then the last matchup is Chris Queeley versus Nightly Sinister. Your number is 2, so yards is what I need from you guys. Okay. So going back, did Luke ever give me a... Is Luke here? Okay, I don't think so. Blind Assassin, did he give me a quarterback? Okay, Blind Assassin, I need quarterback from you. Okay, Dak. Okay. James Grant. Anybody who's not here, I'm going to roll for, and then if they show up during the show and give me a quarterback, I'll give them the one they want. So, oh, wrong one. So for James Grant, James, you rolled a 1. Wait, is that a 1? Yep. I thought it was a 7 for a second. Joe Burrow. No. Oh, whoa, wait a minute. No. Josh Allen. Josh Allen's number 1. I know, strange, right? Okay. All right. Okay, so we got those. Luke, I'm going to go ahead and roll for you. Ouch. That's a 10. Ouch. Okay. Well, actually, no. No, that's actually a pretty good pick. So you got Brock Purdy, but he's been having some trouble lately. But he normally, if he goes back to how he normally plays, he doesn't have turnovers. So that many times, so he's pretty good at protecting the football. So that's not too bad, actually, even though it's 10. Okay. Alpha Courage, did you, let's see. Dak. You went Dak, okay. Bitcoin Motorist, who you got, buddy? Yes, please. Why are all the graphics all doubled up and everything? That's weird looking. What happened? Strange. Yeah, whatever. Okay. So Elf. Bitcoin went Josh Allen. Okay. Elf, you're changing? Okay. Well, wait. Oh, okay, I was fixing to say, wait. All right. Okay, yeah, so stick with Prescott. Okay. For Chris and Nightly Sinister, like I said, if they show up, I'll let them pick here. So number 3, Jackson. Number 9, Goff. Okay. So, going backwards, that is Chris Queeley with Jackson, Nightly Sinister with Goff, Elvin Courage with Prescott, Bitcoin Motorist with Allen, John Thomas Chavez picks Goff, Luke R with Purdy, that's for turnovers, and Blind Assassin with Prescott, and James Grant with Allen, that's for touchdowns. And just in case I didn't make that clear, Chris Queeley and Nightly Sinister, your stat is yards. And Bitcoin and Elf, your stat is touchdowns. Okay? So there you go. And like I said, if those guys come in or if they show up, I'll take their pick during the show. But after the show, then they're stuck with the ones I selected. Okay? All right. Okay, so see, now that's done. That's out of the way because it didn't take too long. And we can start talking some football here. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom. Jalen, I got your message on Patreon. I didn't quite understand your question clearly. Like, could you restate it, or because I want to answer it, I want to address it, for you because you sent it to me on Patreon. Something about random thought: if Brady goes with any of the Patriot assistant coaches and was new quarterback, would those coaches build a Hall of Fame resume? I say yes. I'm not quite clear on the premise here. So just is this I just want to make sure, is this in the past or the future? Like if he did it now, if he came back now, or at any time? I mean, like that's kind of what I mean. Like, oh, Bitcoin, you get the question? Good. Can you explain it to me? Idiocracy, yeah. So yeah, y'all finally watched it. That's where this comes from.
If you're not watching Von Allen Sports, fuck you.
this fucking software. Fuck you, Ecamm. Whenever you go to another clip, it comes back and mutes me when it shouldn't do that because my mute wasn't on. But it does it automatically, and I have looked for settings on this thing. You can't find them. It's fucking infuriating. Anyway, as I was trying to say, they mentioned the movie Idiocracy, okay? And the movie is in the future. It's a future world where things are all screwed up, okay? And a lot of people on the left think that Idiocracy movie is about right-wing stuff that's going to cause that. And the people on the right think that it's going to be left-wing stuff that's going to cause that. And it's not even really political. It's about just humans in general not prioritizing things that they should and just not being focused on what matters, what really matters. And the number one thing I take from this movie is because the guy is frozen. I'm not going to go over the process of really what it was, but he wakes up 500 years later and everybody's stupid. Like everybody's ridiculous. It's like, honestly, it's like the worst case scenario you could think of. And it's probably what it's like to live in Portland, Oregon or something. I don't know. So, and so the guy that woke up, he was just a regular guy from our era. Not dumb, not smart, just an average person. And now he's the smartest man in the world because everyone is stupid. And they don't know how things got that way. And he asked them, he goes, how did you guys get like this? And they really couldn't answer. And so the number one thing I take from that movie Idiocracy is history, not knowing your history. The people in the future, 500 years from now, they don't know how that happened. They don't know how they got to that point. And if they did, they would be able to at least look at the problem. And the point, I think, is we don't look at our history. Our history, as I like to say, history is a blueprint for the future. It is a map, and it's a perfect map. You can always see what's coming because people out there, like leaders of countries and stuff, they are basing everything they do off of history. So if you're not doing that, then you don't know what to expect, but they do. And they know exactly what works, what doesn't work, and all that. So that the point of that movie, I think, is just not knowing where you came from, not knowing how things got the way they were. And when you erase history and when you erase information and knowledge about how things really were, you end up in that situation where nobody knows how something was built or anything like that. Nobody knows anything about why they're there. They just exist, but they don't know why. You know, it's actually a hilarious movie. But if you watch it now, you know, watching it in 2005 was funny. But if you watch it now, knowing everything that's going on, it might actually come off as a documentary of sorts, or a very well thought out possible future. But it is a comedy. It's not, you know, not all of it's meant to be taken seriously. It's just, you know, ridiculous. But remember, it's made by the guy who made Beavis and Butthead, so it's smart, it's clever, but it's still, you know, got it's funny, goofy elements. So I highly recommend you watch Idiocracy. So, all right. Yeah. The guy at the end, the villain, yeah, his name was Beef Supreme. I swear. And everything is created by, or most of the government companies is either Brondo or Carl's Jr. So. I remember that movie. Me and Melanie were watching it one day, and you know, for like the 100th time, and in that movie, there's a segment that one of the stupid guys, one of the main characters from the future, Dax Shepard plays him, and I think his name is something Bendejo. But anyway, he's watching a TV program called Ow My Balls. And my God, I never thought I'd say that on this show. Okay. Anyway, the show Ow My Balls is just a show where a guy gets kicked in the nuts. And this was like 10 years ago. And Milena's mom was here visiting, and she likes to watch America's Got Talent. And all of a sudden, I swear, like that night, that later that night on TV, on America's Got Talent, was just a guy getting kicked in the nuts. That's all it was. It was just a guy getting kicked in the nuts and kicking other people in the nuts or something like that. Unbelievable. But that was like one of the best shows in this future was Ow My Balls. So if you're expecting, just remember, okay, for as possible as a future of ours could be like Star Trek, it could just as easily go the other direction, okay, and end up as Idiocracy. So just remember that. And just one more thing. So the very beginning of the movie, what it tells you is how evolution played a part in this. So they show an exhibit of an example of a couple who is very high IQ, very well put together, responsible, and they are being they're being overly intelligent about having children. Like they're trying to strategize it so properly that it's ridiculous, and they overdo it to a point where they don't end up having kids. They keep saying, "Well, the market's bad right now, so it wouldn't make sense to have a kid right now," and all this stuff, and they keep putting it off until they're too old, and then they can't even have children anymore, and they don't have children, and then they contrast that with these, white trash people, God knows where it's filmed or where the location is, but they're having like 15 children and they're all on welfare, and it's just all ridiculous. And those are the people that's populating the United States instead of the smart people who should be populating the United States. It's just it's shockingly accurate, honestly. It really is. So. Okay. So Logan, we have a new Patreon member. Logan, who are you? Are you someone in the chat? So I can give you a shout out. Now, Logan, I won't be able to. I know it says one entry into the quarterback contest, and that's when the contest started. But you'll be entered automatically into the next one, so you're all good. Thank you so much, man. Okay, Jalen cleared it up for me. He says Brady leaves the Patriots earlier when Bill O'Brien left to coach the Texans, and if Brady goes with him as the quarterback, do they get multiple Super Bowls? Okay. Just one example now. Think of that for any other coach that left Bill. Okay. Yeah. So, for example, Brady leaves. When did O'Brien leave? He left in, 12? Right? Yeah, it was 2012. Yeah. So he got the job in 2012 with the Texans. If Tom goes then, absolutely. Because during that time, O'Brien had some good players. He had. The Texans were, they had their moments, and he even got them into playoffs and stuff. What they really needed was a quarterback, a great quarterback. Was Andre Johnson was in his prime there, and then you had J.J. Watt, and that defense was just outstanding. Absolutely. Yes. So that would have probably given them several Super Bowls over time. Because you're talking from 2012 all the way to 2022, assuming that Tom plays till he's 45. That's 10-year span for Tom to get multiple Super Bowls. And had he done that, I don't know if it would have gotten Bill O'Brien into the Hall of Fame. It possibly, maybe, it just depends. I think it depends. It depends on if they're always winning and always hanging around and they're in a lot of conference games. If they won 3, then yeah. But if they, let's say they won 1 or 2, then I still think that it might be difficult for O'Brien to get in. So it just depends on the number of Super Bowls, honestly. I just don't think, because people would be crediting Brady, and even the Hall of Fame voters would be crediting Brady. But with 3, you can't deny that. You can't deny 3. So I think that's where that would go. So that's right, Jadeveon Clowney, exactly. That's it would have been incredible. That would have been incredible. That would have been a great thing, actually. So, I mean, it wouldn't have been as good as what Tom did by staying with the Patriots, I think. I still think that, but, that has him leaving really early. So that's 2012, and that wasn't ever going to happen. But the hypothetical is good, though. So, guys, I can tell you something right now, okay? I remember, some of you guys remember MySpace, right? Okay, loved MySpace, great website. It's too bad it went down. But MySpace, thank you, Milena. MySpace, I used to get on there and talk football talk. And this was a long time ago. This was it was 2008. What I'm referring to. And then there was NFL.com. So NFL.com used to have a comment section. In fact, there's a guy on our Facebook group. I don't really go to the Facebook group that much anymore because I am fundamentally against anything owned by Mark Zuckerberg. So I do the bare minimum on Instagram or Facebook. But there's a guy there that posts a lot. His name is Johnny Muggins. And I met him originally on NFL.com 15 years ago. So this is like a long time ago. And we used to, really harass like Peyton Manning fans who were saying Brady sucks and all this stuff. So anyway, so in 2008, I had to make an entire article and I posted it on MySpace. And you know what it was? Like the topic was this, and I'm not joking. I had to defend a comment going around in actual sports journalism. Should the Patriots trade Tom Brady? That was a thing. All right. And I don't know how many you guys remember that or not, but let me know if you do. But this was unbelievable. It was all because they were winning games. They were winning games with Matt Castle. The problem was that they were beating garbage teams, but couldn't actually beat any team when it mattered, that would actually get you to the playoffs and get you far along. So that was one of the easiest schedules that the Brady-Belichick Patriots had ever had, as it turns out, because you look backwards and you look at the teams they played. Everything just worked that year in 2008. Any other standard year, average year in the Patriots dynasty, they would have been a lot worse. So everything kind of fell into place for them, and it worked. So, and the Patriots refused to tank. And the reason they wouldn't tank is because they knew that Brady was coming back, and you don't want to allow a losing culture to sneak in just because one player is gone. You have to keep pushing. You have to keep focused. Unlike 2011 when they tanked the Colts tanked for Andrew Luck, and that was obvious. So that's clearly what they were doing. But had there been no Andrew Luck stuff and Peyton was coming back naturally, then the Colts would have, tried, and they would have actually tried to get good quarterbacks instead of Curtis Painter and Dan Orlovsky and garbage like that. or a washed up Kerry Collins and, things like that. So they were trying to tank. They were actually trying to be bad. But in the Patriots case, so in 2008, people bought that they were like buying into it. Fans were even saying, there were Patriots fans that were saying this, like, oh yeah, we can trade Tom Brady away for some picks or whatever. We can get some stuff for him. And Matt Castle's our future. I remember this. Okay. It's absolutely true. It's unbelievable. I posted a short the other day that about Brady, and I wrote, is Brady talking about AB? And I wrote a question mark. Apparently people don't know how to read or don't understand what a question mark is. But, he said, AB, he said Antonio Brown got Brady a ring. And I just thought, okay, you've got to be trolling. And then he doubled down. He was actually serious. Okay, so whatever that means. Did we figure out who Logan is? Who the guy who just signed up? Minuteman, thank you. I find it strange that you guys don't use your screen names. I always have to make a note, so that way when I match the two. So hang on. Okay. Thank you so much, Minuteman. I really appreciate you. Let me get you your wrench here. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. There you go. You have been anointed, Minuteman. Welcome to the Empire. Welcome to the Empire. Yes, Israel, people were actually saying this. And it was a real thing. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't kidding around. You know how every year there's like trade rumors about, certain quarterbacks or certain great players and teams are like, maybe we should make the move and all that. They were dead serious. They were absolutely serious. It was not a joke. It was not kidding. It was a real solid thing that people were talking about. Unbelievable, crazy, but yes. So, absolutely, So. Looks like Jalen sent another hypothetical on Patreon. He said, a fun hypothetical, Kraft sides with Brady on the Jimmy G thing so much he makes a deal with the Steelers owner to trade head coaching staffs straight up. So Bill runs the Steelers and Tomlin runs the Patriots. Does Brady end up with more Super Bowls than he did? Whoa. I don't know. I don't know. Let me think about that. I'll get back to you on that one. But yeah, they were saying that stuff, and it was just shocking. And I wish there was a Von Allen Sports back then, because you would have like a history of it. But I have the article somewhere. I know I screenshotted it, so I'll find that. I think it'd be interesting to read it again. I haven't read it since then, but I usually document things when I write stuff like that. So I know I've got a screenshot of it, or if it on file somewhere. I'll try to find it. But I couldn't believe that was the case. People are so stupid. This is the thing about the NFL fan base in general. Just it doesn't matter what team you root for. They have this mentality, and guys, please click the like button. They have this mentality that the future, okay? Because so much is wrapped up into college and the drafting and all this that they hear all of the people talk and they repeat them. If you notice a journalist or an analyst starts using a certain word, and then you hear that word all of the time now, and everybody just starts using that word. And so people are very easily swayed and very easily controlled in that sense. And people just always, they hear other people say that, oh, it's the future. You trade this guy for the future, blah, blah, blah. And they just repeat that no matter what. Now, there are times where you would do that. And there are times where that's solid. That's a solid decision and what you would want. But they do it for everything now. It's always the next guy is going to be the one guy. That this is the man, you know? And so many teams have made that mistake. One of the more ridiculous ones, in my opinion, is the Colts. So even though Andrew Luck was a good quarterback, we know how that ended. We know how that went. And even when Andrew was playing and playing well, they still didn't get anywhere. And Andrew wasn't winning MVPs. There was nothing happening. But Peyton went on to win another MVP in 2013 with the Broncos, and then he went to 2 Super Bowls and won one of them. But that was the difference maker, you know, Peyton's just being there. Had the Colts kept Peyton, he would have never agreed with that new general management, you know, with all that whole group that destroyed Andrew Luck's career, basically. He wouldn't have been on board with that, and we know that Peyton had a lot of control when it came to things like that. So things would have worked out much differently. But I remember a lot of Colts fans, I'd say majority of them were ready to kick Peyton out. And I was just like, that's a mistake, dude, because it's everybody always thinks the thing over the horizon. It's literally, it's just the grass is always greener, right? It's like it's always better over there than what you have. It's always better over there, and you want to find it, and you think it's gonna solve all your problems and all this stuff, you know. And it's not the grass is greener on the other side. It doesn't mean that you should go over there. What it means is you should probably water your own damn grass. Okay, so if you're having a problem, instead of bailing, all right, people always want to do that. It's like when a president gets elected and it's not the guy they wanted, they say, "Oh, I'm moving to Canada, I'm moving to England, blah 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 blah." It's like, okay, you're just going to run away? You're going to abandon your country when you think there's a problem? You should stay and try to change things, you know? So fans of teams are just always so quick to just, oh, it's that guy problem, and this new guy's going to solve everything for us. It's going to be, you know, this is going to be the way. You know, oh, it's 2008. Brady is injured now. He's not going to be what he once was. He's got to come back and all that, and he threw for 50 touchdowns the previous year, and they still couldn't win the Super Bowl. So Matt Castle's probably the future because it's all Belichick. You have to remember, at this time in 2008, the whole idea about Brady was different. Even though he accomplished what he did in 2007, people still believed that the first 3 Super Bowls was all Belichick. It was all the coaching staff and had nothing to do that much with Tom. Like it was a very strange time, you know, but that just shows you how easily people are manipulated. So, yeah, I did, Luke, but what I was saying at the beginning is that you're still allowed to pick who you want, and just tell me who you want, and I'll put it in there. I rolled the dice for you just in case you didn't come to the show, but since you're here, you can pick one and just let me know who that is, and I'll put it in there. Exactly, Israel. Thinking about the future is everyone's mindset instead of winning now. I want to win now. I want to win today. I don't want the hope, okay? The hope of next year and the year after and the year after. You have any idea? You can build you can sit there and have all of these seasons of crap that you're losing on purpose to build for the future. So let's say you do that. Let's say that for 4 straight years, your team is just garbage, but they're building up young talent and draft picks, okay? And over these 4 years, they built up, they signed a decent quarterback. They signed, a key linebacker that's like the quarterback of the defense type of guy. They got all these good pieces. Now they have 4 years of losing and pissing off their fan base and all this stuff. But they finally got the team that they were tanking for. And the team excels. The team does great. They get all the way to the Super Bowl. And they get destroyed. Okay? They get destroyed, and that Super Bowl victory, or that Super Bowl loss, destroys them. And it's all over. So you gave up 4 years. 4 years to get to that Super Bowl loss, which no one's going to remember. No one's going to care that you went there. No one is going to give a crap. Okay? They barely give a crap when you actually do that and win the Super Bowl. Okay? What fans really care about, and they don't even realize it sometimes, but what it is you want to have that opportunity, that chance of success every year. It's the journey during the regular season. For I know as a fan, for me, the course of the regular season going to the playoffs, it's the that there's a shot, so it's fun. The ride is fun, and it's all about the ride. After you win the Super Bowl, it feels good as a fan. It's great, but it's over. Look at the Rams. Okay, so the Rams mortgaged everything for that Super Bowl, and I don't have a problem with it. Okay, I'm just trying to point out how people can be very fussy about this stuff. That's fine. But now they suck, and they're going to suck for a while, probably. Okay, so fans don't even appreciate that. You don't see Rams fans talking about, oh well, we got the Super Bowl out of it. They should, but they don't. And it's, in my opinion, I think if you can do something to win now, do it, but don't tank. Okay, tanking is not the way. If you want to build a good team like the Rams did, they traded their future. Okay, well, whatever. But they got a Super Bowl out of it. That's great. I would do what I could do now to win. Okay, and that would be my philosophy. I want to win now. I want to know that my team is always in the hunt and can win it. That would be great if you could do that. But this whole future thing, like, I'm not willing to give up a season that I'm in like these people do, like tanking and in football, it doesn't really work like that. As far as like 4 years, that's a long time to be tanking. It doesn't really tend to work like that, but that's probably more like basketball. But still, I would hate to be a Bears fan, for example. So the Bears are always chasing it. They're always bad, and they're always thinking that they're going to find their guy, the guy that's going to be the savior for them. And it's never coming. It's if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Okay, that's it. This mentality of, well, we started the season off, we're 4-6, so we might as well just tank the rest of the season and try to get a good pick. Well, they do this every year. And it's always constant all the time. It's just not worth it. If you want to build a team, if you want to win now, let's say you've got a quarterback. So the Bears thought they had their quarterback how many times? And maybe you want to build around him. So maybe, try to win at the moment. Do other things. But losing is not the option. I have no problem with you trading picks and stuff like that to try to win the Super Bowl. I get it, okay? I get trading draft picks for players who are already established. I understand that, all right? I have no problem. But I don't appreciate people who lose trying to score that pick, because there's no guarantee that pick is going to be who you think it is. And in fact, in football, most likely that pick is not going to be who you think it's going to be. He's not going to be the guy that you think he's going to be. It's not going to be the savior that you're hoping for. It just rarely happens. Do you think the Patriots ever knew that they were going to be getting the greatest quarterback ever? No, you don't know that. Okay, and then for every Peyton Manning that an organization picks first overall, how many of them are bust? How many of them are the other way? There's way more of them that are on the other side than are, and I'm not saying they had to be Peyton Manning Hall of Famer. I'm just talking about how many of them are just good quarterbacks. Let's say a Carson Palmer, okay, or something like that. Not Hall of Famer, good quarterback, or Drew Bledsoe or something like that. It's even rare to get one of those when you pick that high. It's not easy. So there's way, way, way too much emphasis on draft picks and the future and all of these things. And this is where this idiocy was coming from with Brady in 2008. It's exactly what happened with Peyton, is thinking that, the future. We're going to have another 10, 15 years of good quarterback play. Well, screw that. I would rather have Peyton, who's still in form, in my opinion, was still top form, and I would rather, knowing that he probably has like 5 years left or whatever it was at the time that you thought probably, ended up being 1 year less than that, but something about 5 years. I will take that over a sure thing. So what I would have done if I was the Colts, and I was proposing this back then to on chat rooms and stuff, but calling it chat rooms, that really dates me, doesn't it? All right. You take what I would do if I was the Colts at the time. I would have said, listen, what we're going to do is we're going to, okay, so if they're tanking, I wouldn't tank either, but let's say it's after the tank, and let's say that now they've got the number one pick. That number one pick was worth so much. Okay, that pick was probably one of the most valuable picks in the history of drafts. You know what you could have done with that? You know what you could have done with that and put that around Peyton Manning, a guy that is a sure thing. Sure thing. Oh, but he wasn't going to come back. Bullshit. They overstated that, so they overstated their case, so the fans understood what they were doing was the right decision. Wasn't the right decision. But that's what I would have done. I would have taken my sure thing quarterback, a guy that I know is a leader, a guy that I know can get it done, and is year in and year out going to give me excellence. And I take that number one pick and I turn that number one pick into all kinds of crazy stuff. You could maybe get some draft picks, but I would also ask for players. I would try to get players that already exist, players that already proven themselves, a mixture of young and veteran that I could get for it. You could really just get one team that was just desperate enough to get that number one pick, and you could probably land a really, really big jackpot out of that you could put around Peyton. And I would have Peyton tell me, Peyton, who do you want? What team has some guys that you could use? Blah blah blah. And that's the route I would have went, not the future, whatever. You have a sure thing. Why are you getting rid of your sure thing? I don't think so. And the Patriots fell for that too, but the Patriots wasn't as egregious as what the Colts did, because first of all, the Patriots weren't tanking, and they didn't try to do that. And second, Tom was in his 20th season, or whatever. So it's not as bad. It's still bad. I'm saying you never let Tom Brady leave. You chain him to the wall if you have to, but don't let him leave. Give him whatever he wants. But it's still not as egregious as what the Colts did. That's just unbelievable what they did. So. What happened to the... Oh, there it is. Oh, I got to pay attention to that. You guys are awesome. Thank you. We have 2 super chats over on Rumble. Thank you, Milena. Yeah, Milena can't be on the show tonight. She's at the hospital with her mother. But she's with us, though. Thank you so much, Milena. I appreciate that. Milena says a $10 super chat on Rumble. And Zigzag 146 Zigzag says, I know you don't think Jimmy Johnson is a Hall of Famer, but I disagree. He helped build a dynasty that I think he deserves majority credit for, given what Jones has done after Jimmy's roster aged out. Are you challenging me, Zigzag? Are you calling me out? Is this Wonk, wonk, wonk. Wonk, wonk, wonk. Okay. Luke, your statistic is turnovers, and the quarterback I assigned you was Brock Purdy. So let me know if you want to change that or not. Okay? So just let me know before the end of the show. You want Baker Mayfield? Okay. Baker Mayfly. All right. Okay, so Zigzag, regarding what you said, I'll just read it one more time. Zigzag sends a $5 super chat. He says, I know you don't think Jimmy Johnson is a Hall of Famer, but I disagree. He helped build a dynasty that I think he deserves majority credit for, given what Jones has done after Jimmy's roster aged out. Okay, so here's the thing about Jimmy Johnson. It's the what-if game, right? So what if he stayed? Okay, but the premise for me, as far as like what should be a Hall of Famer and how you should view it, is much tougher than what is in reality. Okay. There are, in my opinion, there should only be certain coaches that should be in the. Why are you? Okay. My cat is biting me. Okay, interesting. So, as far as the so the first part is, what if Jimmy Johnson didn't leave? How many would he have? There's no doubt in my mind that they would have probably 4, probably 5. The problem is about the roster. That is. It's not something that's provable. Like it's. I mean, where does that end? You know, like at what point do we? Okay, you know the players and all that, but that's fine. I understand it. You know, but then you've got the whole. John Gruden. Okay, so John Gruden wins this Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2002, and everyone says it's Tony Dungy's team, so it's really Tony Dungy's Super Bowl. Well, I mean, no, it ain't. Okay, so do you want? I mean, are we going to give him credit for being a GM then, or what? Like, where? It's a very slippery slope. It's a very strange thing to do. If you want to put Jimmy into the Hall of Fame as head coach, you have to honestly do it based off of his coaching. You can't just throw in, he did he put together a roster. Well, that's a GM type thing. Okay, so you're like hybrid. It's you really have to judge him based on him as a coach. There are other coaches with 2 Super Bowls that got in, and one of them is Bill Parcells. And maybe one could argue that Bill Parcells shouldn't be there. It just depends on what you think is the threshold for a Hall of Fame coach. So, is it 3? I mean, is it 3 Super Bowls? Is it not? I don't know. With Parcells, I think one of the reasons why he got in the Hall of Fame is because it's a Joe Gibbs type of thing. It's winning with different quarterbacks, different, and it. Okay, I think that was their argument. Phil Simms, he was an okay quarterback. He wasn't anything special. He's only famous because we just know him. I mean, he was okay. I remember Phil. Of course, I remember watching him play, but he was okay. He was average, in my opinion. Played a great game. He had a great game in the Super Bowl. In fact, the highest rated Super Bowl quarterback performance ever. But even I sit around sometimes wondering about Bill Parcells. So if I'm wondering about Parcells, then that kind of makes me wonder about Jimmy too. So I don't know. It's do you think it's fair to credit somebody's Hall of Fame status as a coach with roster decisions, with like GM style decisions? I guess it just depends. It depends on how you view things. But again, I don't question Jimmy's coaching ability. I don't question that at all. That's not something that I have a problem with. I like Jimmy Johnson. I have a lot of respect for him. Think he's great. But again, when it comes to the Hall of Fame, I think it takes a lot more. I think you should. I mean, you're being put in there with Vince Lombardi. You're being put in there with Bill Walsh and Joe Gibbs, people like that. And to me, that's, I don't know. I don't know if we can start putting in guys just because they win, even 2 Super Bowls in a very short time. So he made so Jimmy Johnson, great trade with Herschel Walker for Herschel Walker, and he got all those picks, and then he built a team. But the truth is that, I mean, he wasn't there. He won 2, and that's it. So it just depends. Is your threshold for Hall of Fame 2 Super Bowls? Is that enough? Yeah. So I can tell you this: he's close, or for me, he's right there. Like, it's not as egregious as Bill Cowher. Okay, I think we can all agree that Bill Cowher, that is an absolute joke. But I can see why people would put Jimmy in. I can see why people think of him that way. But I think that his name is bigger than his actual coaching achievements. I think there's something there about that, being the Cowboys coach and all that. So he did coach the Dolphins, by the way. He did have Dan Marino. Nothing came of that, but where was his GM prowess there? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to blame him, and I don't want to compliment him for that as a GM. I think those are different things. So maybe that's what they're doing. Apparently, you think that the GM stuff has a lot to do with it, or should count as a guy who's being put in as a coach. for whatever reason, the Hall of Fame wouldn't put Jimmy in. They had to. They used that 100th anniversary thing where they were just like handing them out like Tic Tacs, right? So for whatever reason, I would like. This is not me. I'm not questioning it. I'm saying I would like to know what the reason was. Like, maybe I should research what the reasons that they were not putting Jimmy in. I think that would be very interesting. So I wonder how they feel about that. So it may, yes, I know. I'll put it this way. I'm not going to eat anybody's lunch for thinking that Jimmy deserves to be there. But again, I have my opinion on the Hall of Fame, very few people. It should be just very few people, like very, very few. I mean, we're talking, I'm wanting to bump out quarterbacks that I love, like quarterbacks that absolutely I'm a huge fan of. I want to kick out Warren Moon. I want to kick out Kurt Warner and guys like that. So I'm wanting to scale it down to, like, I'm talking just a few people, like very, very few, very, very, making it very difficult. And when it comes to coaches, making it very, very, very difficult. So again, it's about what I think a Hall of Famer should be and what their rules and their criteria are. But for whatever reason, they didn't put Jimmy in for a while. So, and then they just decided to. In my opinion, I think if you're a Hall of Famer, it probably should be decided immediately, right? As soon as you're up for it, then that's it. But again, that's how it works. So. Alpha Courage sends a $5 super chat. He says, the real what if is, what if Jerry wasn't drunk that day? Just a second. To what are you referring? I don't want it to sound like I'm hating on Jimmy Johnson. It's not that way. I like Jimmy and I respect everything that they've done, you know. But there's not a lot of work. There's not a lot of excellence, you know, for a long period of time. It's the 2 Super Bowls. And that's really it. So I don't know. They counting his college championship with the Hurricanes. I'm just pulling up something here for those just listening. Bear with me for a second. Okay, so this is Jimmy Johnson's. Yeah. No, that wouldn't have mattered. You talking about the between him and Jerry, between him and yeah, they were pissed off and Jerry was drinking. Yeah. So no, that was going to happen no matter what. It's ego. Jerry Jones is a fucking egomaniac. Okay. So going and looking so this is Jimmy Johnson's resume. Okay. It's just short. I'm not killing him for it, but in Dallas, all right? So his first year in Dallas, this was the first time he was a head coach in the NFL. 1989, they went 1-15. That's not good, all right? Dallas, 1990, 7-9, all right? So that it's clear that everything really was built around the Herschel Walker trade, right? Okay. So that is a GM move, though. So great, one of the greatest transactions ever. Okay, one of the greatest transactions ever. And then everything falls into place. So 91, they're 11-5, and then here comes the great Cowboys dynasty. So 92, 13-3. Of course, they won. Dallas, 1993 went 12-4, and they beat the Bills back to back. So, and then he's out. Okay, that's 5 seasons. That's a very short span. And then you've got him going to Miami in 96. He was in Miami 96, 8-8, 97, 9-7, 98, he's 10-6, and in 99 he's 9-7, and then he retires. He never made it past the divisional round. In 97, of course, okay, so he lost to the Patriots in the wild card there. 98 lost to the Denver Broncos in the AFC division game, who, of course, were the Super Bowl champions, and then went on to win it again. And in 99, they lost to Jacksonville Jaguars, which was a very, very unceremoniously way for Dan Marino to go out, which was very, very bad. So that sucked. But we're just looking at a very short career with those 2 Super Bowls. So it literally comes down to, are you giving him credit for the Herschel Walker trade? That's it. That's what it is. That's it. That's, at the end of the day, that's what it was. So it's sad, but it's sad that Dan went out like that. But what's up, Redcoat? Wait a minute. What time is it? It's a bit early for you. Even for you, that's pretty early. Redcoat's actually going to be here next month visiting. I never said that Jimmy wasn't responsible for the Herschel Walker trade. I know he was. But when his Hall of Fame resume his resume comes up for a Hall of Fame decision, are you putting him in as a GM who made that deal, or are you putting him in for his ability as a coach? He was put in as a coach, right? So, coaching's coaching. Maybe they could rewrite it and say contributor. Joking, of course. Yeah, so, oh my God, it's 3 a.m. in England. Yeah, wow. Oh, yeah, you hear the sirens? You can hear that? Yeah, well, that's just, that's life in California, right? So. Yeah, with the Belichick thing, it's we separate them, don't we? Like we say that you hear this all the time. Bill Belichick, the GM, screws over the Bill Belichick, the head coach. It's like, okay, what? All right. So imagine how much more they would have, in my opinion, how much more successful they would have even been had Bill been not so absolute control of the GM duties. Like, let's say that he had a partner, somebody who took care of the offensive side of the ball and knew what they were doing. I think Nick Caserio was probably okay. I think he understood Tom. I think he understood what Tom wanted and stuff like that. But then Bill would always come up with a reason why they can't do that or whatever. And he wants to make the defense look good, and he wants his defensive players that he likes, and that's kind of how it works. So, but again, Bill Belichick is never going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame as a general manager. Nobody's going to, I don't think anybody's going to consider that. So, or they shouldn't. So, in my opinion. Oh, you guys, what is going on tonight? Hitting me with these weird, not weird, I mean, difficult questions. So, Zigzag. Okay, so Zigzag says there are different ways to get into the Hall of Fame. If it can be shown a coach played a role in team building, I think you can add that to the resume. If that's what they're doing, if that's their thing, if that's their role, then I guess you could, right? Yeah. I don't know if that's what they do. I don't know if that's how they consider it. But like I said, I don't think they do, because if they did, Jimmy would have gotten in sooner, right? If you're going to credit him with Barry Switzer's Super Bowl victory. So, I mean, if that's what they're doing, because that's what you're essentially saying, is that if he gets credit for building that roster and that team, no one's going to leave out the third Super Bowl that they won. Okay, so people are essentially saying that Barry Switzer Super Bowl is Jimmy's. I mean, I don't know. Is that unfair to Barry? You know, like, it's a slippery slope right there, because then you allow that, and then something next where it's not even as of a strong argument, and that sneaks in because you set a precedent for this. So I don't know. It's tricky. But why didn't they put Jimmy in before? Like, if they were including that, because if they were going to include that, give him credit for Barry Switzer's third Super Bowl, and give him credit for the entire decade of the dynasty. If they're saying that, then he easily should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer if they're giving him credit for all those things. So it just depends on how they look. But they didn't. They needed this 100th anniversary technicality thing to throw him in there, and they threw in Bill Cowher with it. Okay, and I think we all know that Bill Cowher does not deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. So it's ridiculous. I'm trying to backtrack here and make sure I don't miss some of y'all's questions here. The Bears are the reason why you drink. I couldn't imagine being a Bears fan. That's got to suck. Yeah, Jaeger says Bill's record without Tom is just a terrible look for him, no matter how you slice it. It is bad. It is. And I mean, it sucks. It sucks that that's the case, but it is a bad look. It does look terrible. That is... I mean, a lot of the Hall of Fame coaches that we consider the greatest of greats, okay, they all have a point where they got out, and then we didn't really have to watch them wallow in garbage for a while, and there wasn't such a contrast. For example, you got a case, Joe Gibbs. Okay, so Joe Gibbs is a good example for what I'm saying. Joe Gibbs did come back. He came back later, all right, and it didn't work out. So if you guys remember, in the 2000s, Joe Gibbs was around, and they weren't that great. But the reason that wouldn't be such a damning thing for Joe Gibbs is because he won Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks. Like, they're like separate, things there. So he's proven himself that he's not connected, he's not pinned to one quarterback, and then people can say, oh, it's just the quarterback. Or you've got, so he didn't go out and prove that he can't win without some quarterback or something like that. With Bill, unfortunately for Bill, is that he's only had Brady when he's won. And that's it. So he's not been able to actually do anything without Tom Brady. And that's a problem for him. He would have been better off, instead of what's happened, he would have been better off retiring when Tom left. Like that, we really... I don't think any of the questions would be happening. I mean, they would come up a little, but I don't think people would really have a case. I just don't think it would be such a big deal. It would be always the what if game, But at least we didn't see the proof that you need Brady. And we'll always think, okay, he went out, Brady left, he retired. Okay, no problem, we get it. He's old. It would have been fine. I don't think people would have made a huge deal out of it, except maybe Jalen, But other than Jalen, I don't think it would have been a big deal. You got Bill Walsh, who won with Montana as his quarterback, but then Bill retired. So Bill, we've not had to see anything after that where, it's just, okay, that's his guy. That's his team. Okay, so people aren't really looking into it. They're not taking a microscope and saying, well, he was a coach before Joe Montana, and he, it wasn't that great, blah, 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 But nobody really cares because Bill just kind of went away, and nobody's really looking at it. So it's an interesting thing about Bill Belichick. It's a very strange situation, I mean, nobody has a quarterback for 20 years. And like that, and wins 6 Super Bowls, and then all of a sudden just can't win. That's very odd. It's the whole situation is just, but okay, whatever. It's not good though. Let's just say that it's not good. Oh, that's so funny. Yeager says, Brady haters are like those Japanese soldiers who insisted on fighting well into the 50s. Dude, that is so weird. Me and Milena were talking about that last night. Last night we were talking about that. That is so weird that you say that. NFC title game is a good resume too. What are you referring to? Are you just saying in general, or are you talking about someone specific? I think I saw somebody ask me about Andy Reid. Diego, that's cool. Your dad saw Bledsoe play in person. Okay, so he was Drew playing for Washington? Was that Washington versus USC or something like that? I'm assuming. Okay, yeah, when Bledsoe was at WSU. Okay, yeah, rumors say that Bill will be leaving after this year. I think this might be good for the team. Let me tell you something about Belichick. He's going to now. Okay, he's kind of screwed himself over. So he thought he could keep winning, and it's a risky thing. So Bill keeps coaching, and now they suck. What he's going to have to do is he's going to have to go to a new organization, and it's going to have to work. He's got no excuses. He's had absolute power, more absolute power than anybody has ever had, okay, for a team. And they have just been garbage. There's no more excuses. Like I said, in 2020, I excused the situation. I said, guys, let's not panic. It's going to be fine, because the salary cap was a huge issue that year. We knew it. We had dead money, Tom leaving. We knew it was just going to be weird. But 2021 is going to be the year where Bill can spend money and we get some good players in and stuff. He got to do all that. So where's the excuse now? 2021, 22, 23 still suck. No. So that is a terrible look for him. So now he's being forced. He can't retire. He's going to have to go to a new team now and double down on this. And it gets even more risky, because he goes to a new team, and that's garbage. That's even just going to compile the situation and add on, make it worse. So all Bill can do is, if he wants to save things, is he would have to go to a new team, and he would have to actually achieve something. So even retiring now, it's not going to help him. I mean, he's going to get in the Hall of Fame and all that. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the whole situation that he needs Brady kind of thing. That's never going to. He's not ever going to be able to fix that now. It's too late unless he does something. That's the only way he can fix this. So. Yeah, the 49ers, they were, you could see that they were coming along, and yeah, Parcells won with Phil Simms and Jeff Hostetler, and Hostetler is just a backup, he wasn't. And I think that's where a lot of people give him credit, so it's. Did Bill Walsh say that Rick Meyer was the next Joe Montana? Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Okay, there's one thing about Bill Walsh. I don't know if you guys know, but he was extremely arrogant. I'm talking arrogant like Belichick arrogant, where it was. You could put any idiot back there as quarterback and it will succeed and it will work. So the thing for Walsh versus Belichick, the thing for Walsh is that the system he created is an excellent system. It is. It is good. And you can thrive in that system. And we've seen it, because that's why people still use the West Coast offense. And it does work. If you have a quarterback that, can do it well. So there is some truth to that. But the things that Montana was doing besides that, you can't replace. You can't. There's really no. It's the poise under pressure. It's the being able to handle a situation, being able to lead and make people believe that they can do anything. And this is an attribute that people overlook way too much, and I don't understand why they tend to do this. But Joe helped himself. Joe helped his legacy by going to the Chiefs, who were struggling, and he got them to the AFC Championship game, and of course lost to that Bills team. But he showed that the leader he is. It wasn't about showing his ability as a quarterback. It was showing about the other ways that he has an impact. Kind of like when Peyton won in 2015. We really don't sit there and take Peyton's second ring in 2015 and try to kill him with it, do we? I mean, I know people say, well, he didn't play it well. But we know that team was, a lot of that team was driven just because Peyton was around and he was involved. That's that influence, that a quarterback can have. So there's more to quarterback than just being making throws and stuff. If it was all about that, then NFL history would be much different. It would look much different. If quarterbacking was all it was about throwing and being, well, then Dan Marino would have 9 rings right now. Okay, it's way more than that. It's so important, and that's the difference between why guys like Montana have 4. And that's how it works. So. What's up, Brian? See, the thing I just want to point out. Okay, so Biocops says Belichick has a better peak than any, in my opinion, but can't win without a legendary quarterback. So Belichick wasn't just winning 6 Super Bowls. They were there every year. They were contending for something every year. So his resume is absolutely ludicrous. It's not. It doesn't even seem possible. The constant AFC Championship games, always there. It's unbelievable, actually. Again, people say, "Oh, it's all Brady," but you can't deny the coaching resume. So I understand what you mean when you say the peak. But coaches need a quarterback. You need a quarterback. The things were a bit different in the past. Okay, so in the 60s and 70s, the running game was the legit thing. And this is why I know you guys don't agree. I don't think any of y'all agree with me on this, but it's fine because I see the merit in other guys, but and their cases that you have. But the GOAT running back for me is Jim Brown, and that is because he was playing. Football was about running. Okay, so every defense was designed to stop the run. Everybody knew the run. The run is what does it, and running the football is the game itself. That was the game, and despite that being the element that shined, Jim Brown made everybody look like idiots. I mean, the level between him and everyone else the gap was so massive. It was so absurd, And by the time the 80s came, running wasn't that. It wasn't as important. It wasn't as and it started to fade away. Now we don't even care. Okay, now today nobody even talks about running backs. Most time teams are running back by committee and all this other stuff. No, running backs used to get big money. They used to get huge money. Now they don't. It's a different time. But it's like, Brady won all of these Super Bowls and done all these things in the golden age of quarterbacking, in the era where, like, we have all this knowledge about how to play quarterback. All these defenses understand how to stop quarterbacks and how to play the pass game and all this stuff. and that's what it's built around. And teams started building up and focusing on defensive backs more and more and more and more. And Brady still thrives in that. So that's like, wow, And when people want to make an argument against older quarterbacks, they say, well, passing is not a big deal. Okay. Well, running was the thing back then. So. Just looking up something for those on listening on the podcast. I know a lot of people say Walter Payton. A lot of people, pick Walter Payton. Again, I'm not gonna like get in a big debate or argument trying to defend that. I think Walter's a good pick. But I'm just looking at the guy versus his peers kind of thing, and I think Jim Brown is the GOAT of running backs. But who do you guys think? Barry Sanders? Yeah, Barry would have smoked any defense. Zigzag. You could have put him on Mars and have him play the Martians, and he would have smoked them too. So. Okay, we have a Rumble super chat. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys doing super chats over there. That's good since we got demonetized. Freaking assholes. All right. Okay, Elvin Courage sends another super chat, $5 super chat. He says, would Peyton have only one ring if his first Super Bowl opponent wasn't Rex Grossman? Oh, man. What are you guys doing tonight, man? What are you trying to make me sound like I'm just shitting on all these people? Dang. Okay. Yes, Peyton Manning did get lucky, okay? Did get lucky to draw Rex Grossman. But that Bears team wasn't about Rex Grossman, got it. And, yeah, I got it. And the Bears all that whole year were never about Rex Grossman. It was about that defense, and Devin Hester and the special teams is what got them there. And the defense always forcing turnovers and things like that. I'll put it this way. Had the Bears had any decent quarterback, I'm not talking about a great quarterback. If they had just a decent quarterback, the Colts lose. That's a and don't forget the Bears were also missing Oh, Redcoat's back. Look at that. Yeah, so Alpha Courage, to answer your question, yes, if unless it was a quarterback worse than Rex Grossman, then no. But if that Bears team was so good on defense, if they even had a decent quarterback, they win that Super Bowl and the Bears win. Yeah, that's I've said that before actually to other people. Like, there's no way. There's no way that they lose that game because look, that was a sloppy game and the Colts struggled. Peyton didn't play that well. In fact, that was the second worst quarterback performance to ever get MVP. The first is Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is the worst quarterback performance to ever win Super Bowl MVP. The second worst was Peyton, and it was in that game against the Colts. So that's interesting, you know. So. Yeah. If the Bears had Carson Palmer, yeah. Oh God, if the Bears had Carson Palmer in 2006, oh my gosh, oh yeah, they would have blown the Colts out. That would have been awful. But also remember it wasn't just about Rex Grossman. The Bears were missing Tommy Harris, and he was a big important part of that defense to get to Peyton, to wreak havoc and cause problems there. It would have been even worse for Peyton had Tommy Harris been there. But I know I interviewed Tommy, and he even said that. He even admitted that. But I don't hold that against Peyton. You have to win with who you got. I don't play the game of but somebody was missing, you know. But I'm just saying, though, this thing could have gotten ugly had they had a quarterback like Carson Palmer. Don't forget that back then, okay, Carson Palmer was one of the best quarterbacks in the league. There was a time, and some of you guys might remember this, there was a time where it was, you'd say, who are the guys right now? You'd say Peyton, you'd say Brady, and you'd say Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer was the guy. He was one of those guys, like top three in the conversation that you would think about. He was a great quarterback. That would have been unfair to put Carson Palmer on the Bears at that time. Okay, we have a big super chat from the Redcoat, and welcome back, Redcoat. Man, I appreciate it. He sends a $25 super chat on Rumble. He says, Jim Brown is a legend. Loved watching him on highlights, of course, and my favorite old school cornerback, Night Train Lane. He used to make people look foolish too. And I also know Redcoat's a huge fan of Gale Sayers. He loves Gale Sayers. But thank you for that, man. I appreciate it. I'm glad somebody agrees with me that Jim Brown is the GOAT of running backs. Hey, man, just listen. I grew up watching Barry Sanders, and I've never seen somebody like Barry. I've never seen the way he moved on the field, the way he avoided. It was freaking absolutely insane. Okay? Absolutely insane. Barry Sanders is one of a kind. But unfortunately, it's more than that. It's Barry had peers at the time, and Jim didn't. So I have to, like I said, I'm not going to kill anybody who says Barry or Walter. I will give you problems if you say Emmitt Smith, but I won't have a problem with Barry or with Walter. So I get it. I mean, Barry is crazy. So thank you so much, Redcoat. I appreciate that, man. And you'll be coming in soon. And speaking of Jim Brown, we're gonna try to catch the Browns Rams game. Correct? Correct, sir? Wait, it's Sunday morning for Redcoat. If Redcoat is up this early, that means he's either going shooting with his sniper rifle, or he's going to shoot his bow, or he's going to fly a helicopter. It's one of those three things, because I know that Redcoat does that on Sunday mornings, and he gets up real early for it. So, which one is it, Redcoat? Did I get it right? Is it one of them? Just a second. Oh God, Bitcoin. Mike Vrabel. Yeah, I don't. Okay. Bitcoin says, do you think Bob Kraft has an unhealthy obsession over Mike Vrabel? Okay, so whenever you want to get rid of a coach, sometimes it's like, okay, because there's somebody better out there. And sometimes that's not even the case, that you know for sure that someone's better out there, but time has run its course. Okay? And it's just not going to work there because of internal reasons. Sometimes it's just time to leave. Sometimes it's just time to go and there's nothing you can do about it, right? And I think the Patriots are experiencing both of those things. So who out there is better? Is there? I mean, or is it at best a lateral move? But at the same time, does Bill need to leave just because the time there and the tension there, it's just run its course. It's become stale and it's not going to improve. Maybe that's the case too, you know. But come on. I mean, I know Mike Vrabel was there recently and blah, 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 and they were all like chummy and everything, and he's always loved Mike. Mike wasn't one of my favorite Patriots, really, actually. I liked him and stuff, but he seemed kind of like a dick, actually. As a coach, he's been wildly disappointing, okay? His Titans teams have really just come up short so badly, and in the fashion that they do, and very, very disappointing stuff, you know. I don't know if a Mike Vrabel hiring would even, I don't know if it would make anything better. It might. So it may just be the same. So But isn't that just going back to the same old thing? Isn't that trying to relive the Belichick, the whole that's it's always going to have that Belichick connection. Kraft went from Bill Parcells, and then there was that short stint with Pete Carroll, but then he went back to the Parcells thing and went with Belichick, and then going back and now and getting Vrabel, and you're just extending that. Like, as far as I'm concerned, why bring in Vrabel, or why get rid of Belichick if you're going to just bring in Mike Vrabel? I think if you're going to get rid of Bill, it's for the reasons of just something that shakes up the actual organization. And Vrabel would not shake that up. It would be more of this. It would just have that vibe. That's still that Belichick Parcells vibe, and it would be like, hey, we're going back to the early Patriots teams, but it's the same philosophy: run the ball, try to play good defense, and all that stuff. But is it really going to affect anything? Is it going to have an impact? I mean, the fans will be happy for 6 months, maybe. And then they'll be complaining again. It's just, I don't know, maybe it's one of these things where you just go and just get something different. Just something different and try to go and see what happens. And maybe it hits, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's a Pete Carroll situation where it's okay, but it's not great. Or maybe you get maybe you hit well, like a Sirianni or somebody like that. A younger coach, a newer coach that just has the right idea and the right mindset, and maybe it really works well. But you're going to need a good GM. That roster is a mess. It's just the picks that Bill have made are just head scratching, and it's going to need a lot of work. But yeah. Where do I rank Peyton Manning? Well, I could answer that, but I'm not going to ruin the documentary I have coming out. But I can tell you where he's not. I can tell you he's not number 2, in my opinion. I don't know the final rankings yet. I'm still working on the documentary, so I haven't input. Basically, I've yet to put in some of the older guys yet. But in my opinion, I mean, Peyton might end up second. But in my opinion, I don't personally put him there. I think that's still Joe Montana. When we're talking about top 3 or top 2, like you're saying he, if you put someone at 2, you're saying they're the greatest quarterback that has ever lived, other than Brady, who you could split his career in half and still have, top 3 quarterback of all time. So there's Brady, and then there's everybody else. So just put Brady aside. And then at number 2, if you're going to put Peyton there, you're saying that Peyton is greater than everybody else. Okay? That's a huge thing. Okay? So what is Peyton's career? What is it heavy in, right? It's heavy in MVPs. Okay? MVP. Now we know for a fact that MVPs are very circumstantial. Like it's very like, are you popular that year? Were you the darling of the journalists that year? Like whatever is going on. It's not always about football. Peyton, I could take away 3 of his MVPs probably. All right. Well, I'd say for sure 2. For sure there's 2 that he shouldn't have. Okay, so his career's MVP heavy. Now, let's say that you agree that Peyton, maybe only three of his MVPs are legitimate. Let's give him three. A lot of people say, I hear two actually. A lot of people say that only two of his MVPs are legitimate, but I'm going to give him three. Let's say he's got three. Okay, so that's three MVPs, and that's 2 Super Bowls and 1 Super Bowl MVP that was, until Patrick Mahomes decided to break the record, the worst Super Bowl MVP ever. Well, match him with Joe. Well, Joe's got 2 MVPs. Joe's got 2 regular season MVPs to go up against Peyton's 3. But Joe's got 4 Super Bowl rings, and 3 of them are Super Bowl MVPs, meaning that 3 out of 4 times Joe was the best guy in the Super Bowl on the field. And there's an argument that could be made for Joe being MVP all 4 times. You can't, even if you gave Peyton 5, I don't think it holds up. I just don't. Let's just put MVPs together, okay? First of all, as far as I'm concerned, I would rather have a Super Bowl MVP than a regular season MVP. That's just me, okay? But if you got, and I guarantee you that Peyton would trade all of his MVPs for just 5 rings where he's not the MVP in any of them. Okay, so the Super Bowl MVP is so good because not only does it show that you were a good player on the field during the Super Bowl, but you won the Super Bowl, and that's what they want. Joe has a total of 5 MVPs himself, which is 3 regular season MVPs and 3 Super Bowl MVPs. That holds a much more weight as far as I'm concerned. So I just don't even see how someone could make a case for Peyton unless they're just really, really talking about, unless they're putting a lot of emphasis on MVP, regular season MVP. That's really the only thing you can do there. So, because I don't care about bulk stats that much, because I compare your ranking against your peers, not against. So Peyton Manning's career yards is only going to be matched up against his peers, not against Joe's career yards. Those don't work. Joe's career yards and all that will be matched with his peers, and every year in and year out, excellence. So that doesn't even factor in, as far as I'm concerned, to the argument. Another one. Man, it's starting to feel like the old days here. Redcoat makes his return, and he's not joking around. Redcoat sends a $25 super chat. That's $50 for tonight. He says, it's been a long time since we, as Pats fans, had to legit say, geez, we suck. But we are damn hard to watch right now. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. Yeah, well, it's bad. And I honestly have to say this, that I am thankful that Robert Kraft changed the uniforms the very year that Tom left. Because now, if you ever see, like throughout history, like 20 years from now, any highlight with the regular Patriots uniform, you know that's going to be Brady's Patriots. If you see that the new uniform, which the white one is absolutely hideously ugly, you know that's the garbage Patriots. So there's a differentiation, you know. The only thing that could trick you is if you see Tom wearing the home jersey. They would wear that as an alternate. That used to be our alternate jersey, or color rush jersey, whatever. And then they just made it the regular ones, which I think it was a mistake. But it worked out, so at least we've got that differentiation. It's good that Kraft made sure to say that this is the new Patriots, which means this is the sucky Patriots. If I knew that they were going to suck this bad, I would have just preferred they go back to Pat the Patriot. If they're going to go, if they're going to be as bad as the Patriots team that I remember when I was a kid, why don't they just dress like them? You know, why don't we just make this official? And I think that would be appropriate, right? So Thank you so much, Redcoat, man. I really appreciate that. And thanks to all of you. Elf, Zigzag, and Nefertiti, thank you for sending super chats on Rumble there. I really appreciate you guys. Oh, that's an interesting one. Bitcoin. Oh, I love it. I love it. Yes, Bitcoin. Bitcoin says, "Bring on Jim Harbaugh." Yeah, I think it's run its course over at Michigan. I think that's time to end that, right? So let's do it. Let's pull the trigger on that. I like that. Good call. I swore somebody asked me about Andy Reid, but I can't find it now. Oh, Yegarthon, that opening Super Bowl return kick for Devin Hester, I was like, unreal. I had seen him up close. By the way, someone mentioned Drew Bledsoe. I've seen Drew Bledsoe play in person as a Cowboy. I've never seen him play as a Patriot, but I saw that year in 2006. I was there at the Cardinals versus Bears Monday night game where the Cardinals went up on them like 20-0 or something. It was like a big lead, and then all of a sudden the Bears, like Rex Grossman threw like 5 picks or something. Don't quote me on that, but something. He had a lot of turnovers. And the Bears defense kept getting the ball back and scoring. And the Devin Hester, I think, had a kick return step. And I saw that up close and saw how good they were at that. It's just amazing. And when I saw the Colts kick to, Adam Vinatieri kick to Devin, it was like, why? Why? What are you trying to prove here? Are you trying to say that, we're not afraid of him? Yeah, kick the touchback every time. Okay, so you're what are you worried about giving them the free 20 yards? It was 20 yards back then. It was before they moved it to 25. But it's Rex Grossman, like. Give them that. What do you think you're gonna happen to just inch out a few more yards and put them back farther? You're kicking the Devin Hester dude. Yeah, that one didn't make any sense, but a lot of people don't even bring that up, and it's because the Colts won. Had the Colts lost, everybody would be talking about that. But man, that was crazy. To open the Super Bowl, a freaking kick return for a touchdown, a guy who had been doing it all year. I mean, that was amazing. I was just shaking my head like, oh my God, it's not Peyton's time. He's still not going to get a ring. Like, there's no Patriots here to stop him. He took care of that, but they're going to lose. They're going to lose to the Bears because of this. But if they had any decent quarterback, like we were talking about earlier, the Bears would have won that one. So. I'm just catching up with you guys here. Yeah, well, regular season you'd have to give it to Peyton or, and you could make a case for Aaron Rodgers, I guess, second place. But regular season it's good to add to your resume, but it doesn't, on its own, it doesn't mean much. I mean, it's a good complement to a resume. So that's what's gonna help you help your argument when people are arguing for you, like if you're in the Hall of Fame or if you're a top 10 or whatever. It definitely helps you, but it doesn't hold up on its own. Like if that's it, if that's all you've got, So it's a good thing Aaron Rodgers has a Super Bowl. It's a good thing he's got a Super Bowl MVP, because if he didn't have a Super Bowl and he had 4 MVPs, that would just look much rougher than it already does, because people think that he's a choker and he can't get the job done, and there's some merit to that. But at least he's done it. At least he was able to get a Super Bowl on top of the regular season MVPs. Yeah, Yeager, sometimes, he says Peyton's big issue was his biggest strength was great at analysis, but overanalyzed. That is a problem. Sometimes you have to pull back from that, and you have to just let things happen naturally. And that's a good point. He did do that. That's true. Jalen says that Favre is better than Peyton. Yeah, see, I would mention that. 3 of Peyton's MVPs were given to him just because his last name was Manning. And remember, if Peyton is getting 3 undeserved MVPs, that means 3 guys got screwed, like majorly screwed over. So there's that too. But again, it's all in context. You have to look at the season for what that season was. You can't compare one year to the next year or whatever like that. It doesn't work like that. So, like for 2008, 11-5 record sounds good. I'm sure the Bears fans right now would love an 11-5, where you can't have an 11-5 record now, but an 11-5 record back then. And that sounds good, right? That sounds like you're playing well. But for the Patriots, that wasn't good enough. You didn't even get into the playoffs because of that. So each year, you have to judge the context of the year there. Jalen says, Favre just as many Super Bowl appearances as Peyton and played better in both Super Bowl games than Peyton and won 3 MVPs in a row. Favre's only played in 2 Super Bowls. Peyton's played in 4. Yeah, so Favre played won the 96 Super Bowl, lost to the Broncos in 97, and he never made it back, which is shocking, actually. Favre would have made it back in 07 had he not thrown that pick, and he would have made it back in 09 had he not thrown that pick. Let's see. Peyton went to Super Bowl first was 06. Then he went back in 09 and lost to the Saints. Incidentally, threw a game-clinching pick. 2013 got destroyed by the Seattle Seahawks, and then in 2015 he won. Of course, Von Miller was a one-man wrecking crew, and Cam Newton was a complete moron that entire game, which was shocking to me. I was like, how can you play so well all year? Cam Newton was, in my opinion, was one of the most fun players to watch, one of the most exciting players I've ever seen. And how he performed that Super Bowl was just shocking. Like, I know Vaughn and DeMarcus Ware and those guys, I know they were lighting him up and stuff, but he still could have found something. I mean, you're the MVP. You went 15-1 that year. You've got to do something. And I'm just surprised that it wasn't he didn't make more of it. So it's just the moment was too big for him, I think. Yeah, the thing I think Jalen's point though about Peyton, I think what he's trying to get to is that Peyton has 2 Super Bowls, but he was not really the driving force of either one. That doesn't look good for him, but when you're comparing him to guys like Montana and Tom, but in the grand scheme of just where he falls as a top 10 quarterback, I don't think people are going to really throw that against them. Yeah, Peyton Manning is not good in Super Bowls. He's just not. Breeze in 09. Yeah, Breeze could have been he could have been had the trifecta, the triple crown of for quarterbacks. It's the MVP and Super Bowl and Super Bowl MVP. It's funny. People, we talk about Favre's famous interceptions that costed him possible Super Bowl, Super Bowl titles, or at least getting there. A lot of people don't remember or don't bring up that Peyton had a Favre moment against Baltimore. You guys remember in 2012 when Baltimore was playing in Denver? It was a divisional round. And at the end, Peyton threw a terrible pick back across where you're not supposed to do. It's total Brett Favre style. And threw the pick, and then the Ravens got the ball. I mean, he's had his moments too. So... And one thing that I think Peyton should have fought for, and he was stupid not to, was 2009. That Colts team was going to go undefeated in the regular season. Nobody was going to stop them. I don't know if you guys remember exactly, but about that. But in 2009, the Colts were something like 15-0. No, they weren't. No, it was around I think it was 13-0 or 14-0, and they started not bringing players back who had a little injury here or there, and they started being very careful. There's no doubt in my mind they go 16-0 had they played their players. So Peyton would at least have that on his resume too, and that would be good to have a 16-0 season, despite losing to Drew Brees in the Super Bowl. That would have looked much better, but they didn't. So. And I don't believe in that either. I don't believe in resting your guys. You have to, momentum in the playoffs is everything. You cannot turn it off and expect to get it back. That is one of the stupidest things I've seen teams do. One of the dumbest things is trying to, we got to rest our starters, blah, blah, blah. No. If you're going out there because you're scared of injury, then you don't deserve to win anyway. So screw you, okay? You've got to keep that momentum going. It's just how it is. The New York Giants won 2 Super Bowls off of momentum, off of right time. The Buccaneers in 2020 won off of momentum going in to the playoffs. That's where they captured the moment. Okay, 2007, the Giants loss to the Patriots was what created that. Is what started off that run for them in 2007. They lost the game, but it's still, that was the playing level, okay? You can't do that. You can't just take your foot off the gas. You cannot play in fear. You play in fear, that's when something really is going to happen. And the Colts did that, and it was a bonehead move, stupidest thing they could have done. So... Yeah, well, 11-5 would get you. Elva Courage says with Brady and Manning, 11-5 got you a wild card spot. Well, those 11-5, it's all about quality of victory, strength of victory. So the Patriots went 11-5 in 2008, but they didn't beat the right teams. If they would have beaten the right teams, then they would have made the playoffs. But they didn't. Their victories were not as important as they needed to be. They needed those key victories in order to get up in the standings there, and as specifically getting beat out by the Dolphins, who won the division. But normally speaking, 11-5 with Peyton or Brady would have been enough, because they would have, a lot of their victories would have been against good teams, and some of their losses probably were against teams they probably should have beaten, but it really, they own a head-to-head in a tiebreaker or some kind of situation like that against a good team. That's most likely to happen. 2008 was a weird year. It was, again, people have to understand the context of 2008 and why they went 11-5. Like, how they went 11-5. So, episode 3 of the Brady Hate Saga, it covers the 11-5 situation. Don't forget that one of Peyton's, what Biox is saying, don't forget that one of Peyton's MVPs is a shared MVP with Steve McNair. I don't know if that matters. I mean, Favre, one of his was shared with Barry Sanders. So I think it's his 97 MVP. But I don't know what you guys think or how you feel about a tie like that. I don't like it. I think there should be a tie-breaking, like a new vote or some kind of criteria or something to keep the tie from happening. Probably, let's see. I don't even know how much deserving Steve McNair was. I have questions for that. For 03. I need to go back and look at it, though. I think that'd be a good series. Would you guys like to see a series of me like questioning MVPs and like taking like the most the years where MVP was a big battle and kind of like weigh in and see who should have been and stuff? Would that interest you guys? Something like that? Yeah, Elva Courage says Breeze could have gone to Super Bowl 53 if that DPI was called. Yeah, so it's not a guarantee, but it was highly likely that the Saints would have ended up going to the Super Bowl. What's funny about Super Bowl 53 is that a lot of Saints fans, they say that, well, this is people, they think so small. They don't think like how one thing changes everything else. And they say, how many of you guys, tell me the truth, how many of you guys have heard Saints fans say, well, because the Super Bowl against the Rams was 13-3, well, if the Saints were in the Super Bowl, they would have blown out the Patriots. And like I've said so many times before, everything changes. You change one thing, you change everything. You put in a new team. The Saints are different. The Saints are a different team. The reason the Rams Super Bowl is the way it was is because of the defensive coordinator. Okay? That's it. Wade Phillips. That's it. Bottom line. That's why it was the way it was. If Wade Phillips was not the coordinator for the Rams that day, the Patriots probably would have put up 30 on that team. Okay? He is the key. He has been a thorn in Brady's ass forever. That's what that was about. Had the Saints been the team in that Super Bowl, completely different game. So the Patriots will score a lot more on that Saints defense, and the Saints would have put up more points than Jared Goff's team did. Okay? different game. It doesn't mean that the Saints would have won automatically. It doesn't work like that. And I don't understand why people can't get that, why they can't just wrap that around their head. I mean, but yeah, I heard that so much. It was so stupid. Yeah, Jared Goff. Jared Goff wasn't given a chance. He didn't have a prayer in that Super Bowl. He was failed before he ever got there. Okay, you're facing Bill Belichick. You're a very young quarterback, very, very inexperienced, and your head coach is always in your ear telling you one thing and this and that, and instead of helping you develop and understand decision making, like everything was stacked against Jared Goff on that. It was hopeless before the kickoff ever happened for him. Like he was going to be wrecked immediately. We can go back to talking about stuff like this, and I love it. I thoroughly enjoy it. Looks like Trump's at UFC. Oh, Trump showed up at UFC with Tucker Carlson, Kid Rock, and Dana White at Madison Square Garden. Z just sent that to me. Yeah, we can go back to this, but I do want to cover the week's games coming. So let's get that done. I mean, I can talk NFL history and what ifs all day long. So it's one of my favorite subjects. Okay. So I'm going to start with the closest point spreads and go down. Okay, so Sunday night's game at 5:20 is Jets versus Raiders. That would have been, I understand why the schedule makers put that up there. They were thinking it was going to be, Jimmy and Josh McDaniels versus Aaron Rodgers as Jets. And that's kind of, but now the game, it's like, okay, Antonio Pierce is, and I'm sure Patriots fans, you guys are all familiar with Antonio Pierce's work. He was with Plaxico Burress when he shot himself. That's interesting. So we got Jets at Vegas, 1 point spread. Jets are the favorites. If the Jets don't start winning some games, then all of this stuff about Aaron Rodgers and all that, it's just doesn't matter. I do have the Jets winning this game. The Jets are better. As of right now, the Jets are better than the Raiders, despite some of their flaws. I don't agree with the public. I think the point spread is too small. I actually think the Jets win this by a touchdown. Atlanta Falcons at Arizona Cardinals. This is funny. So let me see. Milena, are you? I don't know. Football baby. So Atlanta is a pretty good team. I think they're going to be good in the future. I don't think right now is their moment, but I definitely think that they can win this one. So I'm going to go Atlanta over Arizona, even though it's in Arizona. I don't think that's going to matter much. Indianapolis at New England. This is another international game here. So I feel sorry for the international fans, and it's in Germany, right? This one. I feel bad for them that's what we're sending is an Indianapolis game. Like we did them a solid with the Dolphins Chiefs game. That was a good one. So Indianapolis at New England. If New England can't win this, okay, I'm just going to say this. If the Patriots lose this game, if they get embarrassed in Europe by the Colts, maybe you fire Bill Belichick. Okay, I don't know. I mean, that would just be absolutely horrific and embarrassing. Okay, I'm going New England here because they just cannot lose this game. They just cannot lose this game, and I don't think they will. I think that it's still the better team. Saints at Minnesota Vikings. Saints are a 2.5-point favorite. If Minnesota had Kirk Cousins, I would go Minnesota here, but I'm going New Orleans. I think that's a pretty safe. That's a safe one there. So Tampa Bay versus Tennessee. If you guys can figure the Titans out, let me know. So if you guys have their team figured out on what they want to be and what they want to do, I'm actually I'm going to go Tennessee here. I know Tampa Bay is 2.5-point favorite, but I don't like the Bucs players. I know that roster very well because Brady was there, and I know these guys have no grit. They have no toughness. They have no fire. They barely had any. When Brady was there. They even struggled at times against teams like this. I think Tennessee's going to get that. Pittsburgh at home versus Green Bay Packers. The Steelers have been winning very strangely in a lot of ways. So you don't really know what to expect from them, but I'm not that impressed with Green Bay, and I don't think I don't think letting Aaron Rodgers go was a good idea. With that said, I'm going to take Green Bay in this one. Okay, San Francisco at Jacksonville. So this is an interesting one because San Francisco with Brock Purdy. So people are already shitting on him. Do you guys realize that people are already like dumping on him? And it's exactly because he's not a first-round pick. Like, you would never say this, that having this a little bit of trouble from a first-round pick. Nobody would be saying this. So they're crapping on him already. The San Francisco situation, it's like this. It's the Kyle Shanahan arrogance. He would rather lose and he be the guy, okay, than win with a guy like Brady or a quarterback of that stature and have to share the credit, or Aaron Rodgers or someone like that. It's really that pathetic. It really is. The ego is this bad. This is all on him if he doesn't think that Brock Purdy is the answer or whatever. Okay, so hey, everybody's all of a sudden coming down on Brock. Like, okay, I mean, he's not the only one out there. You know, like the 49ers are kind of a strange team, but they're really a defensive team, actually. I know it sounds weird when you've got George Kittle and you've got Deebo Samuel, but 49ers are a defensive team. This is a winnable game for them, even in Jacksonville. But I think the Jaguars are going to get the upset here. And I think that the 49ers are going to go have 4 straight here. So be careful of this one. If you're betting, be careful of this one. But I'm going Jacksonville. Detroit at LA Chargers. Lions are going to win this one straight up. The LA Chargers, speaking of firing coaches, the Chargers need to fire their coach. Okay? He's an idiot. He's an absolute idiot. He's going to ruin Justin Herbert's career. Right now, Justin needs to be developed and things need to be happening for him, and it's never going to happen with that idiotic coach of theirs. Chicago versus Carolina. That happened on Thursday night, and I literally think the NFL was laughing at us when they gave us that. primetime games is a game where everybody can watch, because on Sundays, people are watching their team and not necessarily the other teams. But everyone watches a primetime game. Why in the hell would you make us watch the Chicago Bears versus Carolina Panthers? Even before the season started, that wasn't a good matchup. Where did you come up with this? Absolutely pathetic. I did not watch it, and I don't even know who won. I don't even know the results of that one. So I couldn't tell you. Seattle versus Washington. No, this is Seattle all the way here. So these are the bigger point spreads now. Seattle's a 6-point favorite. Cincinnati versus Houston. Again, this is an easy one. 6.5 point favorite for Cincinnati at home. Go Bengals there. Baltimore versus the Cleveland Browns. Baltimore is an enigma. They're strange. They win games that they shouldn't, and they lose games they win games that they shouldn't, and they lose games that they should have won. They're very strange. But I think Baltimore right now is one of the best teams in the league. I think they're playing really good football. I think Lamar Jackson is on a tear right now. But I'm going Ravens here. 6.5 point favorites. I agree with the public. Buffalo versus Denver. Okay, this is a Monday night game. Buffalo. The situation with Josh Allen and the window. Okay. The Bills right now remind me of a baby version, like a mini version of the Bills from the 90s. You've got these great players, you've got this great team, good coach, and all this stuff, and you're supposed to do these great things, but you just can't. You can't finish the job. Now, I'm not saying that they're the same as the 90s Bills. That 90s Bills team is massively better than this Bills team. But that's why I call it the mini version. But it's got the same characteristics. A good quarterback, it's just a decent coach. They should be getting something done here. The window is closing, okay, for this version of them. Not for Josh, but specifically because, he's got his whole career ahead of him. But for this group, the group that we've been watching get far every year and then screw it up somehow. They called a team meeting, the players-only team meeting. Latavius Murray called that meeting. So maybe something good or positive will come out of that, like a wake-up call. They should be able to handle Denver, I think, at home. So Buffalo. And then last, we've got the Dallas Cowboys versus New York Giants. Dallas is a 17-point favorite. Not going to argue with that one. The Giants are absolutely garbage. Okay, remember, guys, you can send a super chat on Rumble. So if you go to Rumble, and it will pop up for me here, and you can send one there. Also, if you're not part of the Empire, please join. Sign up on patreon.com/Von Allen. Von Allen. Okay. All right, let me go back here. I think I saw. Oh, okay, Alpha Courage. I see what you mean. Yeah. All right, got it. Yeah. Well, my answer is still the same. So. people are saying that the Chiefs will win again. Yeah, so basically, here's how it's going to work for the Chiefs. If the Chiefs are in a close game anymore, they'll win. They'll win. They'll get a call. They'll get something. Something will go in their favor. So it's an unspoken thing that they know. It's not even about the Chiefs. It's about the Patriots' legacy and about Brady, and this is something the NFL resents and can't stand. And the Chiefs are owned by Lamar Hunt's son, and they want to market Patrick, and they need him to be the face. They need him to be the Tom Brady of the league, and they can only do that by making these things happen. So I never believed this kind of thing happened before, but I starting to think that it might be because of after COVID, they realized that they could do whatever they wanted and nobody cares. And that's not just in football. This is companies in the country now are violating environmental guidelines, environmental health guidelines, and because no one's paying attention because everything is just chaotic. The government is overreaching, doing all kinds of crazy things, violating the Constitution left and right, and no one's doing anything about it. So why wouldn't the NFL do the same thing? The NFL is ran by Roger Goodell as like a political party, basically. It's not about football anymore. It's about numbers and politics and things like that. And it's obvious Roger Goodell wanted to be a politician, and that's what he resembles more than anything else. So to say, do the Chiefs have a chance to win the Super Bowl? Yes, because as long as their games are close. Really, the only way you're going to keep them from winning the Super Bowl is blowing them out like the Bucs did. So it's unfortunate, but that's I think the exact same thing was going to happen in 2021, but they didn't see coming that when the Chiefs were playing the Bengals. If you guys go back to the end of that game, it's overtime. Patrick nearly threw a pick to Eli Apple, and that was going to be a pick six. That was going to end it right there. And then he ended up throwing it, and it got, a Bengals player made a good play, and it bounced it to another Bengals player, and he intercepted it. Okay. I'm sure had that event happened and then it went back the other way, there's really nothing you could do to stop it. But had that not happened, the Chiefs would have been driven down the field and they would have probably gotten a flag. So I think that was an anomaly. Like, it just happened so quickly that there was really no time they weren't really thinking about it. And maybe that's not something they wanted then, but I've seen too much last year and this year, and what they did with the Rams in 2021 was very, very, very strange. So, or maybe they didn't want the Chiefs in the Super Bowl in 2021 because they didn't want to deal with that with the Rams. They needed the Rams to win that one. But who knows? This is a lot of conspiracy stuff. I'm not saying that that's all factual. I'm just saying that I worry about this. I have a concern about this. Hopefully I'm wrong. I hope to God I'm wrong. Just in general that this stuff doesn't happen, but I would be aware of it, like kind of, so. The thing about the Chiefs and Patrick is playing bad football, okay? The league has figured out what Andy Reid is doing with this system, and they know people really understand it now. The Chiefs should not have the record they have. It's completely absurd. It shouldn't be that way. They're not playing that good. Their defense is the only thing keeping the team from looking terrible. so they're not blown out. So at least that's a good thing. I'm not saying Patrick sucks or he's, I'm just saying that he is not playing at the level that we were used to. For whatever reason, it could be just, one of those things. You guys remember when Patriots would have this happen? They'd win a Super Bowl, and then the next year it's kind of things are sluggish and a little weird, and then they get it figured out. Maybe that's what the Chiefs are going through right now. I don't know. We'll see. But the Chiefs have needed some help this year, and I suspect that they'll get some help. But I don't know. If I were the NFL and I wanted to, rig games or whatever, I would start developing other quarterbacks because Patrick needs a rival. He's really the only guy. It's for every quarterback that is the face of your organization and the face of the NFL. They need a counterpart. They need someone. Imagine no Peyton and no Brady, like that they didn't have each other. It would be weird, and it made everything so much better. But I don't know what their agenda is. So is precisely what their agenda is, or even if they have one. I don't know if they have one. I'm just suspicious. So. Speaking of windows, I was talking about the Bills. I wonder that about the 49ers sometimes too. Brandon Staley's a freaking idiot. Yeah, I can't stand that dude. Who's your governor by a Cups? Okay, I forgot. What state do you live in? All right. Is there anything else that you guys want me to cover? Is there anything else that we needed to talk about? Ouch! You were in Washington. That's rough, man. I do want to make an announcement, though. So I'm not sure if it's next week or the show after, but I will be going to Arkansas soon. Going home to visit my family and my mom, who I haven't seen in a long time. It's been years. Of course, we FaceTime and stuff, but I haven't seen her in a while. I might talk her into getting on the show, and you guys can meet her. So I think that might be fun. So it could be next week. It could be the week after, but I'll be doing that. Another announcement is that I am starting another channel. It is it's a hybrid of politics and history. So I'll be doing that, and I will, of course, let you guys all know when I start that and stuff. I'm going to be doing a lot more things. You're going to see a lot. You're going to see me a lot during the week. Doing other stuff. So I'm even considering adding another Von Allen Sports show, like possibly going back to the reaction show Tuesday. Not sure yet, but yeah. So but we'll see. So, yeah, is there anything else you guys want me to answer? No, the Josh McDaniels rant was last week. Okay, John. Yeah, that sounds good. I'll watch the replay of it. I wasn't too interested in buying the UFC tonight with the matchups. It's pretty expensive, so it's got to be matchups that I think are good. How old am I? Why do you ask that? I'll answer you if you tell me why. I'm just curious. Oh, that's just your go-to question? You don't know why? There's no reason? Okay. Usually someone's like, they have a reason why they ask. So. I'm 43. Yeah, I'm trying to convince everybody that I was born in 1990. If any of you guys have a Wikipedia account, could you go in and try to change my age to 1990? It's just, and I can just reverse my life. I can just take 10 years off my age here. So I don't think it'll work though. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here tonight. So appreciate all your super chats, Alpha Courage and Nefertiti and Zigzag, and welcome to our new Empire member Logan, and especially Redcoat. Welcome back, Redcoat, for returning and dropping $50 tonight. I really, really appreciate it. It's very, 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 very generous of you. I thank you so much. So, okay, guys, I'll talk to you. Well, I'll see you soon. Okay, but have fun. Enjoy the games. All right. Good night.
Von Allen Sports.